So, my client will split his workout schedule between resistance training and aerobic activity. In total, he'll be training 5 days a week. 3 days will be dedicated to resistance training, and 2 days will be dedicated to aerobic activity. So for resistance training, I've decided to do an upper and lower body circuit, and I chose this because my client's a beginner, so I feel like it would be easier for him to just train all the major muscle groups in his upper body on one day and then all the major muscles in his lower body on another day. So lower body circuits will occupy 2 out of the 3 days for resistance training on week 1, and then the next week, upper body circuits will occupy 2 out of 3 days for resistance training. So, moving on to day 1, my client will be training upper body. He will start off all workouts, whether it's aerobic activity, flexibility, or resistance training, by doing dynamic stretches. And I chose dynamic stretches because it's a great way to prepare the body for exercise. Just jumping right into the exercise can cause stress to the heart, lungs, and muscles. And it's a great way to get joints and muscles through their full range of motion before actually starting the exercise. Moving on to resistance training, each exercise that my client is assigned will target at least one major muscle group in the upper body, completing the upper body circuit. Each exercise will be done in 3 sets of 10, and between each set, he will have between 1 to 2 minutes of rest. I chose 1 to 2 minutes of rest because that's what was recommended by ACSM. So the exercises that my client will be performing for his upper body include push-ups, decline push-ups, bent over rows, face pull, lateral raises, bicep curls, and tricep bows. The bent over rows and face pulls will be used with resistance bands. And I chose resistance bands because they're a good alternative to weights. They've been proven to improve quality and strength and muscle size also. It also adds a bit more intensity to his workout. So for the bicep curls, we are going to use weights, but we're probably going to use a jug of water or milk. And then all the other workouts will be done with body weight. My coaching techniques for resistance training is, before we actually start the workout, I want to know how motivated he is and how he's feeling. Because if he feels as though he's not all there, or he feels like he might not have his energy, then we can adjust. For example, say he got like 4 to 5 hours of sleep the night before, and he's supposed to be training for upper body resistance. I probably won't push him all the way, just because if his energy isn't there and his motivation isn't 100%, I don't want him to injure himself or feel tired or feel as though he has to push himself to please me. I just want him to do what feels best, and that's not tiring him out when he doesn't have full energy. So to end my client's upper body circuit day, I decided to have him perform static stretches. Performing these stretches after a workout reduces muscle tension. It prevents muscle injuries such as strains, allows for a wider range of motion, and is better at resisting stress. So my client has Osgood-Schlatter disease, which is an inflammation of the patella. If you look at his knee, it looks like there's just a little bump right under his kneecap. And he says that it doesn't cause him pain. It'll only act up if he engages in a lot of vigorous activity. So for this reason, I've added 2 stretches that will specifically stretch out the knee joint, give it a wider range of motion, and just to reduce the tension. Overall, the stretches that my client will be doing include shoulder stretch, neck stretch, overhead tricep stretch, standing quad stretch, butterfly stretch, cobra abdominal stretch, and hamstring stretches. So all of these stretches will be held for 20 seconds, except for the butterfly stretch that will be held for 30 seconds. And I want to hold that one for 30 seconds because not only does it improve the flexibility in your inner thighs, but it also promotes it also improves your balance. The stretches that I added to help out my client's knee is the standing quad stretch and the hamstring stretch. So, according to Healthline, stretching out these muscles will loosen and ease tension on his knee joint and also lower back. Day 2 of my client's workout schedule will be aerobic exercise. Warm-up will be consistent, whether it's resistance training or aerobic activity. He'll be performing the same dynamic stretches before every workout. So cardiovascular fitness is big for his weight loss because it increases your heart rate, increases your breathing, raises your internal temperature, which causes you to sweat, and all of this burns calories. Obviously, the more work that you put into your exercise, the more calories that you're going to burn. So, coaching techniques for cardio, I want to start off all my sessions by asking my client about his motivation, how he feels he's going to perform for the day. And as I said before, I'll kind of adjust my day from that. Because it's cardio, I'm expecting to see him burn out really quick, just because he stated that he hasn't performed cardio exercises in probably over a year. So with that, it's my job to encourage him and to keep him going. I can do this verbally and physically. For some aerobic activities, I can join along with him. I can verbally encourage him. I can motivate him by sending him quotes or videos and tips. And at the end, I will ask for his feedback, and I will also provide positive feedback and tips on his performance. So right now, for day 1 of aerobic exercise, I'm going to have my client do 30 minutes of running. I want him to reach at least 60% of his target heart rate, which is about 119 beats per minute. Running also decreases cardiovascular disease and increases bone strength. And I wanted to point that out to my client because he mentioned that cardiovascular disease does run in his family. So I want him to realize the importance of how much this can help him. I've also decided to include jump roping as the second aerobic activity for the day because jump roping is a full body workout. It's an explosive movement which is very effective for burning calories. Also, I found an article on Live Strong reviewed by physical therapist Aubrey Bailey saying that jump roping can increase muscular strength and power in calf muscles by also putting less stress on the knee joint because it improves the elasticity of the tendons around it. So for jump roping, I want my client to jump for 5 minutes and do 4 sets of this. And I want him to have 2 minutes of rest between each set. At the end of his aerobic exercise, both running and jump roping, I want him to also do static flexibility. Static flexibility will also be consistent from all days, whether it's resistance training or cardio workouts. So moving on to day 3, warm-up will be the same. And just like the upper body, all the workouts that I'm going to list target at least one major muscle group in the lower body. Between each set, he will rest between 1 to 2 minutes. And coaching techniques for me is, once again, I'll start off by asking how he is, what his motivation is. I'm going to go over each workout step by step, demonstrating it for him in the beginning. As the weeks go on, I'm gonna stop demonstrating and just see how he does. Hopefully by giving him my positive feedback at the end, he could take that and improve from it and see his progress. As I mentioned before with my client's knee problems, I didn't want to assign exercises that are going to hurt him or bring him pain. So I tried to find workouts that will be more knee friendly to him. So exercises that he will be doing is wall sits, weighted donkey kicks, hip thrust, and bike crunches. So for wall sits, he will be doing 60 seconds in 3 sets. For weighted donkey kicks, he will be doing 3 sets in 10 reps. Hip thrust will be 3 sets in 12 reps. Bike crunches will be 3 sets in 12 reps. So I chose wall sits because they build strength and endurance in your quads. Weighted donkey kicks is meant to target and train the hamstrings. Hip thrust with weights, I've decided to do this to exercise the glutes. We are going to use a weighted object, probably like a jug of water or a jug of milk. And I chose hip thrusts with the weights because, according to the Strength and Conditioning Journal, adding a weighted object to hip thrusts will maximize glute activation and increase force production. And not only that, but training your glutes will also help lower back. My client doesn't have any lower back problems, but lower back problems do run in his family, so that is a concern for him. So that's why I wanted to include that. And I chose bicycle crunches also for including for strengthening his core. Most of his body fat is abdominal, so working out his core is a great way to burn the fat for that. Moving on to day 4, we are going to be going back to aerobic exercises, but instead of my client doing jump roping and running, he will be swimming. So I chose swimming because my client expressed that he loves swimming. Also, it's summer and we live right by the water, so it'll be easy for him to get to. I want him to do this for at least 60 minutes a day, which he said is okay. And even though it's swimming, I still want him to perform his dynamic stretches before, because at the end of the day, swimming is a full body cardio and muscle strength exercise. So I still want him to get that stretch in. According to the Obesity Action Center, being in body pulls 80% less of your body weight. So that's 80% less weight on your joints and your muscles. And this will allow for him to exercise longer and to burn more calories. I still want him to perform static flexibility at the end of his stretches. And then after that, we will be going on to a day 5, which will be upper body, and will be the same schedule as followed. To summarize my client's workout schedule, he will be working out Monday through Friday, with resistance training being 3 days of the week and aerobic activity being 2 days of the week. For resistance training, we are splitting the workouts into an upper and lower body circuit. So for 1 week, upper body will be done 2 out of the 3 days. In the next week, lower body will be done 2 out of the 3 days. So at the end, he'll have an even balance between upper aerobic, lower aerobic, upper aerobic, lower aerobic. Before every workout, whether it's resistance or aerobic, he will be performing dynamic stretches, and at the end of all of those, he will be performing static stretches. So for motivation, it's my job to keep him going. And first, I want to be able to increase my communication with him. When it comes to motivation, it's my job to keep him going. It's my job to want him to continue to workout plan and to see his goals all the way through the end. So one way will be by encouraging him, by getting him little $5 to $10 Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks gift cards to let him know that I see his progress and I see how he's doing and I want him to feel good about his work. Also, a big thing is communication with positive and negative feedback. So, positive feedback is meant to encourage a behavior. When I give my positive feedback, I want my client to be able to see all the improvements that he's made and all the work that he's achieved so far. And with that, I want him to take that information and push it on to the next workout so he gets that boost of motivation and confidence. With negative feedback, it's meant to change an action. With negative feedback, I plan on letting my client know if I saw any errors and little things that can be improved. With that, I also want him to give me a review on how he thinks I'm coaching him. I want to be able to know if I should change some things or if he feels uncomfortable with the way I'm doing something, just so it's equal communication and comfortability on both ends.